Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's begin. Everybody, three, two, one, let's go. So we have this concept. We're going to start it with the very basic. That is filing. So these files are often text files. How many of you know about this concept already? Or they can comfortably tell me that they can do it like with the flick of their finger. At the very first place, we need to know that why do we need text files? What is the reason? Filing exists. So we people have done the data structures. Data structures. Can anybody give me the definition of data structures? Data structures are basically different ways of organizing data in computer memory. For example, variables, one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, ADTs that we will going to study on later on. One another very key point regarding the data structures is that data structures only holds data temporarily while the program executes. During the execution of program, as soon as you close the application, data structure is like gone, vanished, finished. Whereas filing, it stores the data permanently on your secondary storage device. So let's quickly recall these points here. Way of organizing data. Holds data temporarily. During execution of program. So this is the reason that we have to introduce filing, because holds data or stores data. The term is stores data permanently on secondary storage. Give me example of secondary storage.
Hard disk drive.
Hard disk drive, solid state drive, and last time like we were talking about EEPROMs.
Optical?
No, no, optical storage devices cannot be used as a secondary storage. I don't know any practical example of using optical storage devices. So that's where we need filing, because if you have done some processing, if you have collected some information, for example, if in a supermarket, if a manager wanted to store all the information of items being sold, or how much data that has been left in the inventory after the day's sale, and before closing the shop at 9 p.m., at 11 p.m., they want to store the data permanently in secondary storage. So next day, if they wanted to continue, they should continue from the same place, even if the system has been switched off. So if you switch on the computers of point of sale terminals, and what those computers will going to do, what the program will going to do, it will going to load the data from the text files back into the data structures. So this happens more often. And this is the kind of question they also ask you in examination as well. Why you need filing? So give us a practical example. For example, in point of sale terminal, maybe in some sort of an office, where you wanted to store the data overnight, and next day you want to continue doing your work from the same place. And you don't have to re-enter the data next day. Okay, so you store your data which is like during the execution of program, it's like it's inside the arrays or in ADTs, store the data in files, and the next day you copy the data from the file into the arrays. So we will going to do this thing more often. So let's talk about text files. We have three different modes for text files. Does anybody knows? You have files, modes. But a file के modes किसे पता है?
Read and
Yes,
write.
yes. Explain it to me. What does
So reading is
mode-
opening a file for reading means that file you will extract data from the file, while opening a file for writing means that you're gonna write data into the file, and you're preferably gonna make a new file. And I think there's also a mode called append, open file for append. इसमें you're opening a pre-existing file और उसमें आप data add कर रहे हैं.
Brilliant. You have told me the whole thing actually. Write is also known as output. Okay. In read mode is also known as input mode, and then we have append mode. Append is known as append. Just like Ryan have told us, the read mode reads the data. Now this is important. From text file into the program. So how I wanted to make it, how I just wanted to create this analogy is something like that. So if you people even forget, you can remember that. So in read mode, you copy the data from file into the program. This is read mode. Okay. Let's talk about write mode. Write data from program into a text file. So you can definitely make something like this just for your sake of, memorizing this thing. But if you have file, you have program. So you're writing the data from a program into a text file. So this what means writing. ठीक है याद रखना आसान रहेगा. अच्छा append mode. Write data into an existing file. Write data in existing text file without altering the previous data. But this is important. Okay? When you open a text file in an append mode, you write the data without altering the previous data that has been already stored. Write mode creates a new file. Or overwrites existing file. We use a command when we use read mode, things to remember. देखो यार ये हम छोटी-छोटी चीजें लिख लेंगे ना बाद में हमारे काम आते हैं. जब भी कभी read mode use कर रहे हैं, whenever we will going to use read mode, we must be using this command somewhere. That is known as read file. file name, comma, variable, or let's call it data. The data will be the variable. Similarly, if you will be using the write mode, you will definitely be using a command somewhere. It's so fine. Write file. And the name of file. And data to write. Okay. All right. Last but not the least, ये हमारी छोटी छोटी चीजों के बहुत सारे जो एक इंफॉर्मेशन बन गई जब भी हम कभी नीचे प्रोग्राम कर रहे होंगे ना बार बार इन चीजों को हम रेफर कर रहे होंगे. Whenever you will be opening your whenever you just wanted to read the file, whenever you're opening your file in a read mode, we will be taking care of one more thing. If you people remember that, that is end of file. So it's a magic thing we will going to talk about. ठीक है? Read mode में open करेंगे तो end of file का बड़ा जिक्र आएगा. चलेंगे. Let's take one very good example and try to create our very first text file and try to write the data into it. First program. हम suppose कर लेते हैं कि हमारे पास एक array already मौजूद है. Write names of 10 students stored in a text file. Sorry, in an array. Write names of 10 students stored in an array. To a text file my file.txt. Assume array has been already populated. This means that you do not need to declare the array. You do not need to put the data inside the array. There is an array. That array contains the names of the 10 people inside of it already. So your program should write the data of that array into a text file. So you can store the name of 10 people into the text file permanently in your computer, in your laptop or PC. Names array. So this is specify करती है कि आपको names array को declare भी नहीं करना. Okay. Even though I have told you people that we do not need to declare, or in this question they're asking us that we assume that the array already exists. It has name of 10 people inside of it. We do not need to declare. The name of the array is names. But for our understanding, we will going to not only declare the array before the solution, but we will also going to make a picture of it. So we can actually see what is happening behind these things. Just like we programmers, we just not only need to take care of how people look into our programs once it start executing. When you're designing, writing a program, you have to, keep that thing in your mind when the user is running a program. what kind of output you can see it on the screen, he or she. Plus, when your program will be running, how it will going to organize the data inside the RAM, how the whole thing will going to work, how efficient the program is, etc., etc. So we need to take a look at the things. So for example, what is the name of the array? Its names. We are declaring it for our understanding. So declare. What is the name of the array? Names again. In this question, it's not required. We're doing it so we can understand the whole concept. And how many names are stored? Let's store a few names. It's a string array, so all the names will be stored in the form of string. Azan, and Alan, and John, Jill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put a few more names. कितने नाम हो गए? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the 10 names. Let's index the names as well for our understanding. Ali is at index 1, names 1, names 2, names 3, 4, 5. Pseudocode, है ना? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 10 names has been stored in an array names, and we need to store these names inside the text file. Okay, now the way I will going to input it, write down the solution, I will make sure that if any kind of problem does come, you should be able to write down at least the basic line of codes. यार ये जो स्ट्रेटेजी जिस स्ट्रेटेजी के साथ मैं लेआउट कर रहा हूँ नहीं बेटा ये जो स्ट्रेटेजी मैं यूज कर रहा हूँ किसी भी किस्म का जितना भी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा हम कम से कम इन चीजों को तो लिख ही सकेंगे ठीक है सो whenever you will going to face a question or a problem regarding filing you should be able to solve it at least to some level. Write the names of 10 students. So let's try to collect the data. कितने बच्चों का नाम 10 बच्चों 10 students stored in an array, in a text file. So by just reading into it, we need to write the names of 10 students stored in an array. Just give me a second, Arya. We need to write the names. It's mean the mode that you will going to select, which mode you will going to use, write, read, or append. Just reading the question first, you need to find out, we need to open file in write. So we need to open the file in write mode. The name of the file is myfile.txt. Okay. How many values we need to store? 10. What is the name of the array? It's names. Okay. So let's start doing it. First, I'm going to leave few lines for the declaration. This is from where we start writing the solution. And I'm going to leave a couple of lines in it. So file open is the command. File open. What is the name of the file?
myfile.txt.
myfile.txt.
सर आप एक सेकंड क्वेश्चन दिखाएंगे
Sure. File open myfile.txt. In which mode we should open the file? For, write. People do remember that whenever you need to write a program for a text file to open it in the right mode, this is how you do it most of the time. Okay. So you start with opening a file with its name and by mentioning the correct mode. We have left with a couple of lines for maybe the initialization. How many names do we need to write? 10. Okay, so we should use a for very good looping structure. Let's use a for loop for variable is x. You can use any variable from 1 to 10. Okay. Now we need to move one element of the array names at one time into the text file. Now assume that. Now this assumption is very important for the programmers, for the programming people. We have assumed that even though they didn't told us to declare the array, we have assumed that there is an array names and it has 10 names stored inside of it. So there are 10 boxes and each box number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have names stored inside of it. This is the array data structure. Then we have used the command file open to create a new file, myfile.txt. As soon as you run this command, what will happen? This thing will happen. So let's assume this. I'm going to use this place for my assumption. Okay, this small little place. So assume that this text file will be created something like this. The name of the text file is myfile.txt. And this is happening in your secondary storage, in your hard drive. This is your, maybe you're having that M2E series solid state drive. Okay? As soon as this command runs, this happens. Now then, look closely, this is important. The file has been opened and there is one small thing which you cannot see, but it does exist. That is end of file marker. As soon as you open file, even in the write mode, a blank empty file has been created with a small marker EOF, it's there. Even if there is no data. Okay. Now what this EOF is, EOF only mentions the end of the data in a text file. Now looks how does it works. This thing has been done. We have started a loop. And let's copy, let's use a variable. Let's declare a variable. And let's call it temporary or temp and declare this variable as string because the data stored inside the array is also string. So temp is a variable and हम इस temp variable को भी यहाँ पे कहीं पे show कर देते हैं. अच्छा ये ब्लू कलर से क्यों लिख रहा हूँ, ये हमारी रैम के अंदर है सारी चीजें, ठीक है? It's a single variable. We have also created a single variable temp. Let's see how we are going to use it. So first, it's a good practice. Even some people can say that, sir, you could have moved the data directly from the array into the text file. Why you're using this temp variable? It will come handy later on because sometimes when you're taking data from an array, you need to check it. Sometimes you need to write the data taking from an array or any data structure. You need to check it according to some situation and conditions, and then you have to write it down into the text file. Okay, so that is the reason that I'm doing this practice. I'm just making this thing as your practice as well. So you can always do this. So let's use single variable temp, and naming the variable is also a good habit. Always keep first letter capital temp and move the, what is the name of the array? Which variable should I use for indexing the array? X. Very good. So right now we know that this X variable is incrementing one element at a time. So I'm going to use X, index the array. So very first element will move to the variable temp. For example, now, if there is a value, if we run this program for the very first citation, if in X it's 1, it's mean in the array names 1. What is inside names 1? Inside names 1, it's Ali. This Ali will be moved to the variable temp. This will happen? Okay. Now let's write this name into the text file. Okay. Which command should I use to write the data into the text file? Write file. So I'm going to use the write file command because I've opened the file in the write mode. Write file. What is the name of the file? myfile.txt. In which variable I have stored the value of the first index of the array? Temp. So I'm going to use this temp variable to move the data into the text file. Now look what magic happens. Everybody look into the projector screen or like on the screen here. Look, as soon as you run the command write file, as soon as you run this command, Azan, as soon as you run this command write file, what will happen? Into the text file, myfile.txt, which this one, okay, which has been opened into the write mode already. The data that is inside temp, which is Ali, okay, it will be written to this text file like this. Ali. And the marker E or F will be pushed onto another ladder like this. So every time you write data into a text file, the data is like written and the end of the marker is like pushed like one step ahead. Because it always mentioned where the data ends in the text file. So right now, EOF specifies the end of the data in this text file, myfile.txt. There is only one data element. Okay. So this write file has been executed once. I think we just need to do here this thing next. And in next iteration, inside X, the value will become 2. So second time from names 2, the value will be moved to the variable temp, which will be CAF. CAF will be moved to temp. And this CAF will be written again into the text file. Then second time the write file command will execute, it will write the data on the next line. This is important. It will automatically write the data into the next file and push the EOF marker one step ahead. And this thing will keep, this whole step will keep repeating until all the data elements from 1 till 10 will be written into the text file, myfile.txt. One element and one time. Okay. Even though instead of using for loop, I could have used this command write file 10 times. Write file myfile.txt names 1. Write file myfile.txt names 2. Write file myfile.txt names 3. It could have done the same job. But to work smartly, we have used the for next step. Cool? Okay, बेटा देखो ये बहुत जरूरी है. फॉर टेक्स्ट की लूप की जगह अगर मैं 10 दफा राइट फाइल की कमांड लिख देता ना तो भी वो यही काम करता. एरे के एक एक एलिमेंट को उठा के टेक्स्ट फाइल में लिख देता. खुद ब खुद राइट फाइल की कमांड, once you run the write file command, if you run the write file command again, it will automatically going to write the data on the next line. This is important to know. खुद ब खुद अगली लाइन में जाके डेटा लिखता है वो. उसको हम बताते नहीं है. एक दफा राइट फाइल की कमांड लगेगी, दोबारा राइट फाइल की कमांड लगेगी, अगली लाइन में जाके लिखेगा वो. ये आगे जाके ये चीजें ज्यादा काम आएंगी. ये मैं कॉन्सेप्ट क्यों दे रहा हूँ? सही है. So let's try to create a text file quickly. on VB.NET so we can actually physically see how does it works. I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to just write the same program. So we can have a pictorial representation of how it would actually works. Some of my students are really working hard to make things easier for maybe IGCSE, O levels, or AS level students. They come up with an idea of some library routines in which at the backend they are running Python code in VS Code, and in front end it's a structure of a pseudocode. That's it. ताकि बच्चों को जो है वो ये वाला सूडो कोड वो VS कोड पे लिखे तो बिल्कुल वैसे ही चले, लेकिन उसमें कॉम्प्लिकेशन आ रही है और वो आएंगे, and they will always be complication. सूडो कोड अपना भी सिंटैक्स नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने इसको क्या कि एनकैप्सुलेट किया है. फॉर एग्जांपल आपने राइट फाइल लिखा, so there is like always complications. So to learn any programming language, you have to learn pseudocodes. You must have an idea about the flowcharts. There should be an understanding of structured English and some programming syntax that you must need. It can be Visual Basic.NET, it can be Java, it can be C++, it can be C#, it can be Python. I recommend VB.NET because most of the my students today in one college, I went to 4 different colleges today in one day. In one college, there are like few of my students who are really, so much fixed on Python. And I personally know their position and understanding level of, programming. तो मैंने उनको उस बच्चे को भी बोला, मैंने उसके साथ उसके दोस्त लड़के थे उनको भी बोला, बिल्कुल. तो मैंने कहा कि बेटा पाइथन के पीछे क्यों हाथ धो के पड़े हैं? क्योंकि every time, even in paper 4 in programming language in your A levels, like there are 3 questions, and like one and sometimes even more than one question, 1.5 questions, they always give you pseudocodes. Pseudocode diya hua hota hai, you need to translate that pseudocode into a programming syntax. So the best way of translating your pseudocode into programming language is VB.NET. तो जिस बच्चे की बेसिक ही स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, अब वो पहले तो समझे कि यार ये pseudocode को मैं कन्वर्ट कैसे करूंगा प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में, फिर अगर वो पाइथन है तो उसके अंदर मुझे 4 चीजों का और ख्याल कैसे रखना. बहुत सारी पाइथन के डिफरेंट पाइथन की जो डिफरेंसेस है ना, वो पाइथन को ज्यादा कूल और अच्छा बनाता है, लेकिन वो हमारे प्रोग्रामर के लिए, बच्चे के लिए मसला है. So once you're done with your A levels, then do any language you prefer. लेकिन अगर आप VB.NET के थ्रू भी प्रोग्रामिंग कॉन्सेप्ट्स को समझ जाओगे ना, तो भाई आप कोई सी भी लैंग्वेज कर सकते हो. Names of students is already stored in a text in an array. We need to move the data from the array into the text file. Okay? C and D. अच्छा, ये मैंने एक हरकत की है छोटी सी. I've done this intentionally because I wanted to skip this, because in any programming language in arrays index starts from 0. So because we have done the pseudocode and we started index in pseudocode from 1, तो मैंने intentionally इसको ऐसे एक डमी वैल्यू दे दी 0 पे, तो हमारा 1 यहाँ से शुरू हो जाएगा. ठीक है ना? तो 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So we have names of 10 people. Okay? So let's convert our program. Do we need to declare any other variable? I think yes, we need to declare temp as string. Do we need to declare any other variable? I don't think so. Huh? वही तो मैं कह रहा था, जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन यार यूज करेंगे ना, हमें ये हैबिट बनानी है. ये जब हम खाली एरेज करेंगे तो भी, जब फाइलिंग करेंगे तो भी, असल में होता ही है कि वो ऑफ्टन डेटा को लेके उसमें कोई कंडीशन लगा के कंडीशनिंग करके फिर वो एरे में मूव करता है, फाइल में मूव करता है. उसको मैं वैलिडेशन चेक्स लगता है। तो ये अच्छा है कि हम इसमें हैबिट बनाना। For x equals to 1 to 10. Oh, sorry, we need to open file first. So file open. Here in BB, we need to also number our file. One, the name of the file is myfile.txt, and the open mode is, instead of for, we will going to use open mode, and open mode output. There's a slight difference in between the syntax. Myfile.txt for write. Output means write. Input means read. Append means append. Okay, so file open. Just in case, we will going to close the file as well. File close. Did we close the file of the program?
Yes.
No, we didn't. We made a mistake. This is a very important ritual. Whenever you open a file, you have to close the file. There is one mark for it, yaar. You cannot afford it. Using single mark, वो भी इतना आसान बना. So file open, file close. बिल्कुल, file close. My file got closed. All right. So इस अच्छे से थोड़ी आगे पीछे हो गई है, एक सेकंड. चलो जी. बेटा मुझे बताते चले जाओ क्या लिखना है. Temp equals to names x. Write फाइल की कमांड बीवी में क्या है? Write line. 1 comma. Okay, people, if you people are getting confused, ये 1 क्या चीज है? तो यार मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. देखो, whenever you open a file in Visual Basic.net, you give it a reference number. So myfile.txt has a reference number 1. So wherever I will going to mention 1, it's mean myfile.txt. So whenever you open a text file, you give it a reference number. So 1 means myfile.txt. So here it's mean myfile.txt. Here it means myfile.txt. Write line. Write means output. Write file. Write line. 1 comma. बेटा यहाँ पर क्या लिखूंगा? myfile.txt then comma. Temp. Okay. So we have to assume that once this program runs, it will going to create a new text file with the name myfile.txt, and it will going to move all the names of this text file into the all the names in an array into the text file. So one more thing. Here we need to give the path. यार path खासतौर पे A2 वाले बच्चों के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बेटा मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि जो हमारी फाइल क्रिएट हो ये डेस्कटॉप पे क्रिएट हो. तो मैंने अपने कंप्यूटर के ऊपर ये GUI मोड यूज करते हुए डेस्कटॉप को ओपन किया और यहाँ पे जाने के बाद इस जगह पे क्लिक किया. यहाँ पर आपके पर्टिकुलर कंप्यूटर की जो भी क्रेडेंशियल्स होंगे उसके मुताबिक यहाँ पे तो मेरा यूजर्स लेनोवो लिखा हुआ आ रहा है, आपके कंप्यूटर का नाम कुछ और हो सकता है. So I'm going to copy this path. After copying this path, I'm going to come to my program and put it just before myfile.txt. Control V and forward backslash. So this is the name of the text file. That's fine. This whole thing is the path where I want my text file to be created. Okay, so let's run the program and let's see if it actually creates a new file, myfile.txt, at the desktop. So I'm going to just add 1 or 2 more lines just to make it a little bit, more eye candy. Console.writeLine. This is an extra command. Your text file has been created. Console.read key. Let's run the program. Okay, let's see. एक चीज और, हम डेस्कटॉप पे जाके देखते हैं अभी तक यहाँ पे कोई माई फाइल पहले से क्रिएटेड है, उसको डिलीट कर देता हूँ. But right now, can we see any text file here on the desktop? No. So let's run this program. Does this program have created the text file? I can't see it right now. Oh, it is created. And let's see, does it have moved all the names in the array into the text file? Yes. There is an invisible end of file which we cannot see. Because as much as I clicked on this of my cursor here, it does not move anywhere else. It stays here. It's mean this is where the end of file is. देखो मैं cursor move कर रहा हूँ, it goes up. I'm moving the cursor again, it goes down, and it stops here. Why does it stop here? Because here end of file exists. It means end of data. You cannot see it. End of file is a character which exists in ASCII chart. There are a lot of characters that exist in ASCII chart, but we cannot see, like F1, F2, enter button, escape key, print screen. End of file is one of it. Yes. So the file has been created and we just executed this program. अगर आप चाहें, अब let's try to do one more thing. यार देखो उसमें डेटा क्या लिखा हुआ है, myfile.txt में ABCD लिखा हुआ है ना? Okay. I'm going to do this intentionally now. I'm going to change the data. K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. So name of the 10 students are like this. I'm going to reopen this. I'm going to rerun this program. Open the same file at the same place, at the same path. myfile.txt. What will going to happen? इस program को मैं line by line run करके दिखा रहा हूँ. So here, inside the array names, we have name of 10 people from 1 till 10. And it will going to open the file once again. अच्छा एक चीज और भी नजर आएगी हमें. यहाँ पे अभी शायद विजिबल नहीं हो रही. इसने उसी myfile.txt को दोबारा ओपन किया. राइट मोड पे ओपन करोगे तो इसको ओवरराइट करेगी. अब टेम के अंदर सबसे पहले नाम क्या है हमारे पास? K. This. And now this K will be written to the new file. And this program is going to run 10 times. Let's have a look. Let's recreate it. So if you open your text file with the same name on the same path, in write mode, it will going to overwrite the existing data. So this can be the benefit or maybe a feature of write mode. If you want to keep the previous data, you just have to open your file in append mode. It will not going to delete the previous data, but it will going to add the data, including the previous one. Okay. So this is the write mode, and if T, P, Q, V, W, X, Y, Z, A, A, B, and C. Now, instead of the output mode, I'm going to use append mode. मुझे सिर्फ ये बता दो होगा क्या. मैंने नाम दोबारा चेंज कर दिया. मैं append मोड में रन कर रहा हूँ उसको. सेम नाम की फाइल को दोबारा मैं ओपन करूंगा append मोड के अंदर. Your file has been created. Basically, it's appended. If I go and check, I can see that it will going to retain the previous data and it will going to include the new data. देखो कर्सर यहाँ पे ब्लिंक हो रहा है ना, यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक और डेटा ऐड हो गया. अब एंड ऑफ फाइल यहाँ एग्जिस्ट करता है. You cannot see it, but it existed. सही है? Solid. So guys, this is, I know, a bit boring lecture for today because we have done only with one program, that is how to open a file in write or append mode. A very small program with no complications. We will going to see the complications very soon. The programs which will start becoming quite interesting.